do.
This morning, that Hurricane Sandy already deadly, 21 killed in the Caribbean so far.
And Sandy is now beginning its move up the East Coast, set to be a historic storm, and everyone from the Carolinas all the way up to Maine will feel its impact. It's expected to mix with two other huge systems over one of the most densely populated areas of the country. Experts are predicting at least $1 billion in damage.
All of the biggest cities on the East Coast. So let's get right to Sam, leading the coverage from our extreme weather team. Sam?
Good morning, George. And we want to give people a couple of days to get ready for this storm on the eastern seaboard, and that's why we're talking about it so much right now. But take a look at the canopy of clouds here, about 2,000 miles across. That's unbelievable when you look at the size of that storm. But zoom into where actually the storm is, and that's what we're talking about. That's Sandy right now. And the idea is with Sandy, the Hurricane Center has it crawling up the seaboard for a while, then speeds up from Saturday on. And this is kind of new information. Makes a turn. Looks like by Monday that it's going out toward the Atlantic and then hooks in, making a turn somewhere between Washington, D.C. and New York City, most likely in that Delmarva Peninsula into South Jersey area. Now, that turns this storm for the first time. We get kind of a hybrid storm turning into the coastline. Hybrid storm because, remember, we're talking about Sandy getting hit with an Arctic blast of air at the same time, extra infusion of energy, and then getting spun up even more, supercharged by that jet stream. Exactly where is the storm right now? It's off the coast, about 300 miles away from Miami. You can see the feeder bands of rain getting in there, and that's exactly where our Ginger Z is this morning. Ginger, what are you feeling?
Sam, we're in between some of the heaviest bands, but the winds will gust this morning anywhere to 30 miles per hour. Today, it'll be 40 to 60 miles per hour. The most impressive pictures, though, behind me. That rough surf pushing water all the way up the beach to where it is not normal, up to the ropes here. The grasses and the mangroves start. Seaweed shouldn't be this far up on the beach. And really, Florida's just going to get this side swipe. Look at the pictures from yesterday. It's still going to cause dangerous rip currents. People should not go into the water. The biggest concern would be tying things down today. There will likely be some power outages, and what you do need to know is after it leaves Florida, it starts to make its turn up the East Coast, and that is exactly where we find this morning our Lindsay Davis there on the Jersey Shore.
Good morning, Ginger. This coastal area is a big concern. Sandy is not only expected to hit here, but to hit here hard. If we take a look at the video from where Irene hit this area last year, you can see that the sand mounds and the sea walls that are intended to be the front lines of defense for a storm, they were no match for the heavy rains and winds. Water just poured right in. As a result, there was massive flooding, mandatory evacuations, and people in this area once again bracing, preparing themselves for the worst. Sam?
Thank you, Lindsay, and thank you, Ginger. Now, if you can see, the spaghetti models are still all turning this thing toward the coastline. So a lot of terms are being thrown out there like atmospheric bomb, superstorm, but at the same time, joking terms like Frankenstorm are used. So we turn to one of my good friends, expert senior meteorologist Bernie Reno from AccuWeather. Bernie, you and I have worked together for 18 years or more in some cases. When you look and hear these terms, how much of it is hype on this storm and how much of it is very real?
You know, when you've been in this field as long as you and I have been, Sam, you look for a way out when you see a storm that is projected to be this strong. But unfortunately, I don't believe there is a way out. This is not being overhyped. I would use the terms devastating and historic, a 1 in 30-year storm, or even in the fact the way in which this storm is going to be tracking east toward the coastline in New Jersey. It could be a once-in-a-lifetime storm.
Now, when we talk about it as a storm itself, I mean, we're talking about wind here, we're talking about coastal storm surge, we're talking about probably inland heavy rains and flooding as well, not just coastal flooding. And I'm showing the rain map right now and how much rain will move up the shoreline with it. Easily 4 to 6. In some cases, people are saying up to 10 inches of rain in major metropolitan areas. What's the biggest problem with this storm? Is it the wind? Is it the rain? Is it even that kickback snow? What are people going to be complaining about the most?
Well, unfortunately, Sam, and that's going to be the difference between a hurricane and a nor'easter. We're going to combine the two and have the worst characteristics of each. In a hurricane, we tend to have focused rain and wind along the northern side of the storm. But with this storm, we're going to have the wind and the rain be a problem across a large part of the storm system. And depending on where this storm goes, north of the storm, we're looking at a devastating storm surge. We're going to be looking at inland flooding as well.
Yeah, Bernie, thank you so much. I know we'll be watching this throughout the weekend. We count on good folks like you to help keep us on track. So Bernie Reno from AccuWeather. And also remember that this storm won't just be a coastal storm, as Bernie pointed out. We're going to be following the effects of this storm for a long time. Inland areas need to be paying attention to the forecast as well. Amy?
All right, Sam, we know you'll be keeping us updated.